on the couch, we're covering roles will remain relevant in the AI era, what human skills are important with AI in the room, and the best way for beginners to get started with agents.
So we've been hearing a lot about NVIDIA's agent platform and more about the agent wars. So NVIDIA is preparing an open source platform, reportedly Nemo Claw, for enterprise agents that can perform across workplace software. It's not tied strictly to their hardware. And this sits on top of March's broader shift. We saw a rush by vendors to embed AI agents deeply into productivity tools so they actually do work and just not chat.
More of the same. I do think that the last few weeks have been pretty slow. What would you say, cousin? I mean, I think since the agent wars began, it's been pretty consistent that this is the news, everything that's going on. It's
Yeah, I feel like at least in terms of like the agent wars and what we've been hearing right now, at least in what I was looking at for March, it's kind of like a March madness in
mm,
terms of enterprise agents, where some of the things I'm hearing, Microsoft is they're embedding agents into Copilot and Google Suite, they're embedding agents into that workspace. So I feel like this month in that conversation, it shifted from like individual productivity, but
mhm.
actually taking it into the workplace. We talk all the
Okay.
time about what you're able to do for your own personal productivity may not transfer over into your workspace. And so I think corporations are actually wanting to see that. And vendors like um, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google are seeing the need for agents in the workplace.
So I guess that poses the question, what does it look like to be a knowledge worker in the next 3 to 5 years? Because if agents are doing all of the busy work, where is the actual value? Like, where will the humans find their place? What do you think?
I think for individuals, the value is going to be in knowing what tasks need to be done in what order, understanding what the constraints look like, moving from a prompt engineer into more of an agent architect. Being able to visualize and
Mhm.
put together multiple agents, knowing what's going on with the agents, and then delegation is going to be really important. So delegation without understanding is a new dependency. So it's one thing to say, okay, we've got an automated process, we have agents doing that, but you're going to need individuals that still understand the process from the beginning to end.
Yeah, I think for me, that's where I think humans will remain top dog is understanding the why.
Mhm. Oh, yes.
Because that's the one thing AI doesn't know. Even if you create an agent, you have to load it up with all sorts of context so that it's performing to the intent. I was listening to something the other day and they were talking about how one of the companies, I think it was Clavio, that they put AI in place for their customer service.
Hmm.
And the intent for the AI was to save time. So, how quickly can you get through these service calls? But when the humans started to review the calls, they noticed that the agent is actually not maintaining our standards. They're rushing people off the phone. They can't tell when someone is really upset and you need to slow down and really just let them get it out. So I think humans still understand the why. Why is the agent doing things in a certain order? And why is it doing it in a certain manner, controlling tone, controlling all of these things that have to literally be taught. And you touched on being a good agent architect. And I think a lot of the prompt engineering and a lot of the prompt exercising is very valuable in that regard as well, because what I've been doing in building my agents, I mean, I'm prompting AI to death to make sure that I'm setting up the agent correctly. And so I think all of these skills are kind of still going to go hand in hand. I don't think we're at a place where agentic AI, which is the next level where agents are building agents and things like that without human interaction. I still think we have a while for that. But I think humans should focus on like the value creation task.
Mhm.
right? If there's some busy work in your role, I would recommend you figure out how to get an agent to take the busy work, but you have to understand where the value creation is that the agent can't do for you.
You raise a good point. That customer service example and needing to have empathy, agents can't read the room.
Do you think some skills will just be lost forever as
Unfortunately,
AI takes on more and more, entry level, low level tasks, or there's some things we just will never do again?
to some degree, I think some of those tasks will go away. We'll lose something. I think with any technological advancement, there's a degree of give and take.
Mhm.
What we gain, in terms of what we lose. So it's still early, but it'll be interesting to see 5, 10 years from now what the conversations are like and what are the things that we gain and at what cost.
Yeah, to me, it kind of reminds me of like the calculator. Probably, younger generations, they probably have lost the art of like paper arithmetic. And just over time, even older generations, right? Like once you started using calculators, you didn't have a reason to do arithmetic on paper. I mean, but that's a skill where it's okay, right?
Mhm.
You kind of just need the result. And so I think some skills will be lost, and that's okay. Um,
Yeah, even more basic. Ask someone how to tell time and it's not digital.
or a map. There's this
Oh,
huge thing about people who can't go anywhere without Google Maps running, like,
mhm.
they don't understand how
How
streets can
to
streets connect and things like that. But I think as if we lose skills, some of them will be okay to lose as long as humans are still able to determine, is the output right versus does it just look right? Because AI can give you something loud and be very wrong.
Yeah, I do hope we don't lose the ability for deductive reasoning. I think as humans, that's one of
Mm,
our greatest capabilities is, being able to have
yeah.
deductive reasoning.
And I think if you are worried about the future of your career, maybe your role being attacked, there's some things that I think some skills I think you could work on to kind of keep yourself safe. And I think that's becoming an expert, like when things are unfamiliar, because if there's a new variable or something new happens, agent doesn't know what to do. So that's where you shine. It's something unfamiliar, doesn't need depth, doesn't need debugging. I think that's how humans can still remain relevant. And I think that kind of carries us into our next story. A new Resume Now survey says that 63% of workers think AI will make the workplace feel less human this year, and 57% worry more about skill degradation than job loss. Yet 48% believe AI skills will be crucial only for some roles, not for everyone, which clashes with the everyone must become an AI power user narrative. What do you think about that narrative, cousin?
So I don't think not everyone's role will have the same AI exposure as we were talking about like customer service and some of the trends we've been seeing. But the attitude that they don't need to engage in I think is incorrect. Like every individual should have some degree of working knowledge,
Yeah.
of working with AI.
And so only time will tell about that. But I still think everyone should be looking at their workflows, trying to separate the human pieces from the widget moving pieces, which probably will be delegated away. Are you concerned about the workplace being less human?
Not in the immediate future. I think we'll see a change in terms of customer service. We've seen that in the last few years. I mean, can you call anywhere without having to press 5 different prompts
Right.
to get a human? Even if you do a Google search of a company, trying to locate an actual telephone number is very difficult.
Right.
If you go to a contact page, a lot of companies, they don't have a telephone number, like, it's a chat
It's
box,
yeah.
so we're starting to see that. I think that transfer into the actual workplace? It will be a while, but there will come a day where departments will no longer exist, where there'll
Mm.
be agents doing the job of different departments.
We are living in interesting times. I mean, that's gonna be crazy. We're not
Yeah.
gonna have a HR person. You're just gonna chat with somebody about what the policy is.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about some of the things that we've seen, like in the last few years, I don't know about your banking center, if you've come across any banking centers. So the banking center that I go to, there's not an actual teller.
Oh, really?
It's a banking center, but I essentially go inside the bank and I go to a phone booth and then I talk to a teller who is in I don't know what city or
Wow.
state, and I'm doing a transaction and I use a little, bunny shoot and it
Hmm.
somehow goes to her. I don't know where she's at and then it comes back to me.
No, I have not. I
Yes,
don't
but
go in banks. That's
but
like,
yes, I mean people don't really go in banks and I
yeah.
mean I probably go in there once a year, so I can
Ooh, that's
understand
interesting.
why they don't have a full-time individual, but I go in and I talk to essentially like I said, it's like a phone booth and I talk to someone on the television.
So, something interesting that I have kind of been following and watching right now is we're talking about how humans are being taken out of the workplace, basically. And you were talking about the banking is they're trying to be 100% remote,
Mhm.
automated, or whatever they're trying to do. But YouTube is actually cracking down on AI videos that have AI from start to finish.
Okay.
They have made a statement that they want some human involvement at some point in the process. And I think the corporate careers and jobs are have to be the same way that like if there's an agent running the job, there is a checkpoint where a human is going to do something. And what YouTube is saying, they don't want AI generated video and AI generated voice and AI created the script and AI created the music. So it's like a human was not involved in this
Whatsoever, right.
whatsoever. And it's like, no, pick a point in the workflow and either the human can record it. They're okay if AI does everything else, but the human records it
Mhm.
or the human edits it. Like they just want to make sure. And so I think maybe we are overshooting it a little bit to say that uh roles will be completely eliminated. There will be human checkpoints, but there will be much less humans involved.
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. I mean, we've talked about some different things. There'll be a need for authenticity.
Hmm.
People will want to see something that is real. I mean,
Yeah.
if you see a lot of content that is AI driven, when you have something that doesn't appear scripted, doesn't appear over polished, people may start to gravitate towards it more.
Yeah, I can't stand AI videos. I can't stand it. Like if you go to YouTube and the big market right now is all the celebrity news and I'm just like, stop it. All of it is made up. So, what you working on this week in the lab?
So, ironically, what I've been working on really takes us back to one of the initial hot topics this week, going back to NVIDIA and their Nemo Claude, how they're actually trying to embed agents into the workplace enterprise.
Okay.
And so, for my company, our approved AI platform is ChatGPT. So we're on ChatGPT Enterprise and you know, there's not an agent native built into ChatGPT. And so for anyone that has been anywhere on any social platform, hearing about AI news the last few weeks, the last few months, it's been about Claude in terms of agents and skills.
Mhm.
There's so many different links you can go to see a repository of Claude skills. And so for those individuals who, almost feel like they're professionally stranded, where you see all the advantages of Claude, however, your employer requires you to use ChatGPT. For me, it was like, okay, well, how can I leverage some of that?
Mhm.
And so, what I've done is I went out this week and was able to take some of the Claude skills. For instance, GitHub has a plethora of repositories. And so, taking some of those skills, for example, one was strategic advisor and putting those skills into ChatGPT. And so, I'm using ChatGPT to essentially read Claude skills and then build a custom GPT. So I'm able to use some of the knowledge from an agent.
Mm,
The next phase for corporate, when agents are available,
mhm,
I'll be ready. But at a minimum, what I'm able to do is, at least for now, is to take advantage of some of that knowledge based skills that are built into those, into those skills, and leverage that. I guess you would say chat GPT Claude workaround in
okay.
terms of taking skills. So ease of use was pretty simple. The skill was set up for Claude. I took that, put it into chat GPT, had it remove the Claude specific coding, changed it over, formatted it to ChatGPT, then put that back into ChatGPT and asked it to build out steps to create a
Mm,
custom, GPT.
okay.
It wasn't a game changer. A custom ChatGPT is the brain. It's thinking very
Mm,
broadly, it's thinking very critically. But without that agent, I don't have the arms, but it's been helpful. Would I actually recommend it? I would recommend it in the workplace if you don't have access to agents.
mhm,
But obviously if you do, then I would say maybe not worth your time. Invest that time into
mm.
actually building out an agent who is going to take the recommendations a step further and actually complete the task.
That segues into what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. All I've been doing is building agents. I think I have about 5 running now on my Mac Mini. And so they're covering all sorts of pain points for me. And I kind of came up with 4, rules of thumb, 4 summary points for people who are just getting started. So I just wanted to boil those down and dispel some myths possibly. I think one of the biggest things that's going around is that you can have an agent built in under an hour up and running. Part of it is true, but the troubleshooting step is unknown. So for me, like, I get my prompt from Claude. This is everything that the agent wants to do. It literally takes minutes to take that over to Claude Code and it spits out an agent. But when you go to run it, it can take you an hour to work through just
Mhm.
different things. And it's not that the code doesn't work or that it's buggy. It's actually really good at that. But things just aren't working the way you anticipate. And so you got to massage it. So that's the first thing. You can build in under an hour, but troubleshooting time is unknown. The second thing is that building agents requires patience and resilience, not a technical degree.
Mhm.
You don't have to have a technical degree, but you do have to have the patience to go back and forth and work through that troubleshooting that I mentioned. The third thing, which is actually kind of heavy, and this only comes from experience, is you got to be able to suggest alternatives because sometimes the agent is going down a work path and it's like brute force trying to get something done. And you've tested it 3 or 4 times, it's still not working. And finally, as a human, I'm like, why are we trying to do it that way? It's time to change course. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you gotta, know a little bit about the process that you're asking perform so that you can make suggestions like, "This isn't working, why don't we try that?" And then my other tip is that I use ChatGPT or Perplexity to map out the idea. So if I wanna for example, I created a Zillow agent to basically handle leasing for the real estate properties. The process was so many steps and a lot of back and forth, and where's this data, and what is it supposed to look like? And so I like to preserve my Claude credits, and I don't do all that back and forth with Claude. So I would say whoever has the most open, chat, system available for you, use that to map out your ideas before you, go into a system where your credits are very precious. And so for me, agents have been a game changer. I've saved hours. I can't even I can't even articulate how many hours I've saved. And that's another project I really need to put in place because I think people are telling you they're building agents, but it's hard to really say how much time you're saving. But when I was checking an email multiple times a day and sending save responses multiple times, like, that's hours. And now it all just happens. So 10 out of 10 will recommend. I'm no longer a button clicker. I'm happy to say.
Well, thank you for sharing. And I think what you've done is really share with people some of the ins and outs in terms of building an agent and not just all hype. Like, yes, you've been able to see some true wins and it's been a game changer, but it wasn't without work and really setting
Mhm.
that expectation. I mean, because depending on, where you're getting your information from, you should be able to build an agent in 10 minutes for every aspect of your life
Mhm.
is
Right.
is what we're hearing, with no mention of the time up front or even the cost. I mean, that's you raise a good
Mm.
point, understanding which platform, how much it will cost you to run an agent depending on what you wanna do. So I think that's really good to be able to level set.
This week in the Dear Prompt Life letter, there was a conversation over on Reddit. And the user was asking, I'm interested in diving into creating AI agents, but I'm not sure where to start. There are so many frameworks, tools, and approaches that it's a bit overwhelming. Can anyone recommend good starting points, tutorials, or projects for beginners? Any tips on best practices would also be appreciated. And I actually just recorded a agents for beginners video, so we'll link that down in the show notes. However, my recommendation if you are just getting started, I think you should go with Zapier. It is a no code option for building your very first agents, and that's where you really get to understand how does an agent work? What kind of information do I need to give it and what can it do for me in return? So I would say go around and play with that. I shared a couple episodes ago that it's free.
Mhm.
I think the agent can run up to 400 tasks or something for you in the free account. So totally go into Zapier and then they actually have templates. So if you have no idea where to start, I would say take a look at those templates.
I love this question. And this is an area where there's too much information in terms of agents right now. I mean, it's so much hype. So I love that people are having these conversations, and all of the information that's available, may not be the best. Because it's interesting, you said starting with Zapier, depending on where you're going right now, it's go directly into Claude Code and build your agent. So
I mean,
I'm
it
happy to hear that you have a different viewpoint.
yeah, because if you're doing something simple, and an example of a very simple agent that I actually still have running in Zapier. It reads my email and it's looking for items that have a date. So maybe, there's a school play or early release dates or anything that has a date. And it takes that and creates a calendar entry
Hmm.
in my calendar. Like that's a very simple agent. It's scanning your email, it's taking what it found, you know, per your filter, and then it's adding it to your calendar. If Zapier can do that for you in a couple of steps, I unless you already have the infrastructure and you have all types of other agents running for you, it's almost easier to do that than to go through the build process, if you're just getting started. I do think if you are on a journey to automating everything you do, then eventually you'll move everything, to your own, um, data center where you're using Cloud Code and things like that. But I don't like, if you don't even know what you should make an agent for, I don't think you should go to Cloud Code
Okay.
yet.
That's great insight, and I think people need to hear that so they don't feel overwhelmed or feel like
Yeah, don't feel
they're
behind.
behind. Yes, because right now, again, this is an area where, too much information,
Yeah.
is causing people to take no action because they feel like they don't know where to start or they feel like they're behind already.
And I think what's more important than getting wrapped up in tools is understanding what it can do.
What
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 it
it
can
can
do for
do.
you and what
Mhm.
areas in your life that you can benefit.
Right.
And so I'm at a point where I'm actually moving some of my agents from Zapier into Claude Code, but that's after I've used them. That's after I know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mhm.
And so I think just getting started, picking the easiest path is what I would recommend.
Okay, that's great. It takes us into our next segment. We hear so much about tools, different things in the lab. And so, with our love it or leave it, we're taking popular tools right now and giving you our insight if it's something that you should love and embrace or it's something that you should leave. So, kicking that off, we're going to talk about AI performance reviews. So essentially, this is using AI to write your own self evaluation and your manager's feedback on your behalf. For you, is it a love it or leave it?
Imma love it. I think it's happening anyway. I think it's happening anyway. And actually, my manager made it a point to let everybody know that he did not use AI. He was like, I wrote every word. But I don't think, every manager has that bandwidth. And I kind of think it's happening. And I definitely think for the individual, I mean, writing the self eval, nobody wants to do
It's
it.
so painful.
It's painful.
It is. So for me, it's just a love it with the caveat. I will say if you are forced to do a self-evaluation, it's a moment of reflection. If nothing else, I think the AI does a great job of, resurfacing the things that you've missed it through the year. And so that's where I really love it. I do think that once you've gathered all that information, the self-reflection should still occur. So for me, it is a love it.
And I know this is the lightning round, but we were talking about how I created my chief of staff that's got all my action items, and
Mhm.
my eval is going to be so on fire. It's gonna know everything I've done. But anyway, yes, I'm excited.
Yes,
Love
I
for me.
AI can certainly take advantage of that and resurface those things. So all right, well, moving on. Trusting AI style voice clones is your default for content, client calls, even sale calls. So essentially, this is using a clone version of your voice as the standard delivery mechanism for content across the board. For me, it's a split. I think for content creation, if it can accurately represent you enough and clone your voice and help you with that thought process, I would say no on sales calls. I think
Yeah.
sales and client calls, those are opportunities for relationship building.
Mm.
When I'm meeting with a vendor, anyone that I'm looking to do business with, like that call, I essentially trust my gut. Like it's building a relationship. And if I'm not speaking with an actual person, then
Mhm.
for me, it's going to be a trust issue.
Yeah, Imma leave, believe it or not. I think the voice is sacred.
Hmm.
Like, and I actually, I created some video clones for online course type content, but it was always my voice, and it was always my likeness,
Hmm.
but I just didn't actually create the video from start to finish. I think we should stay human. I think even if it's supposed to be a representation of you, it either has to be your likeness and your actual voice or leave it alone.
Okay. So, continuing with AI usage, what do you think about companies requiring AI usage quotas? So, essentially, what they're saying is that individuals have to use AI a certain number of hours
Mm.
in a day. Your thoughts there?
I'm actually a leave it because I think anytime you make something a requirement, we're going downhill very fast. And I don't know if you're going to see the productivity. I don't know if you're going to see the gains if you just make a blanket. You got to use it for 4 hours. Like God knows what people are going to be doing. I don't think it's valuable.
Yeah, I agree. Quota measures the wrong thing.
Mm.
It's not measuring the quality.
Yeah.
You could have people going in asking the wrong question or the wrong prompt. So it's a leave it for me. Whenever you force anything like quota, get compliance. So people
Right.
meet the compliance piece, but they're not getting the results. So a definite leave it there. So within that same vein, we've been talking about AI capabilities, AI that auto generates posts, comments, and social media content.
People are hating this right now. And I agree. It's like you don't have to leave a comment on people's social media. So it's one thing to use AI to create your content, but to actually have it combing your feed and responding on your behalf, it's just not that serious. Like the person who created the content, they don't really want to talk to your AI. It's
Mhm.
just unnecessary. I think that's the agent you can cut out altogether.
Yeah, I think regardless of where you land in terms of social media, whether you're a fan or not, I think we can all agree the point is to have people connecting,
Yeah.
especially in terms of comments and reviews. those should be human reactions. I feel gypped if I'm reading a review and I'm assuming
Mm.
that, an individual loved a book, they had a reaction to it, and then I purchased it to know that the content was AI generated. So it's leave it for me as well. What's your verdict? Comment below. So that's it for the couch today.
So if you got a story, a question, or a hot take that you want us to put on the couch, drop it in the comments. Let us know. There's always a link in the description to our ASAP, our AI Simple Action Plan, where you can take all the suggestions that we had from this episode and actually put them in place today. You can go from listening to putting it in action in under an hour. And once you grab that ASAP, you will be invited to our live AI office hours where we get in the room, we answer questions, we get our hands dirty. We are here for you. We can't wait to have you guys in the room. And so be sure to like and subscribe for the algorithm. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Kiana, and this is the Prompt Life Podcast.